Hey friends, I don't know about you, but I am really feeling like I need to start 2023 out in a cozy space. This genre has just blown up recently. It's the genre of cozy fantasy, so that's what we're going to be reading this week. I've had really great success with this genre in the past. I loved Legends and Lattes, the first book of the Tea Dragon Society series. I loved The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, as well as all of T. Fisher's works, like Sword Heart, that are set in very cozy fantasy worlds. I actually reached out to you guys when I was looking for some cozy things to read after my granddad passed away, and one of you suggested I read something by Olivia Atwater. I don't have the book that you suggested for me, but I do already own this one, so I'm gonna try out this one since I already own it, and if I like it, then I'll pick up the book that you suggested. I'll put that one up there, even though I can't remember it right now. This is about a woman who was cursed by a fairy to have half a soul. Well, it sounds like this is a Regency romance type situation, and I have really had a lot of luck with cozy fantasy romance, so I'm hoping that this one will be a win. The cover is also beautiful, and I've heard people saying amazing things about this entire series. I also want to read something else by Becky Chambers, and this one has made its way onto a few different cozy fantasy lists recently. This is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. I've heard some people who read this Monk and the Robot series and then read this one and said it didn't hit quite as hard for them, but I do really love sci-fi, so I think this one might be right up my alley, which is why I decided to pick it up. Looks like we have an exotic reptilian pilot, some chatty engineers, a noble captain. The crew has been offered the job of a lifetime, and hijinks ensue. I mentioned before that I love the Tea Dragon Society series. I've only read the first one in the series, and I just ordered the second one because I was in need of something cozy, so I want to reread this one in this video and also read the second one. This is about dragons who grow flowers or leaves, and you can use those to make magical tea, and it's very cozy and cute, and the art style is absolutely beautiful. I just love the colors in this, so I will be continuing on in this series as well. Neil Gaiman is one of those authors that I think of as a cozy author, even though he does do a lot of dark themes. You wouldn't think a book about a boy whose entire family gets murdered in the first couple pages would be a cozy book, but it really did feel so cozy to me. I read this in my last cozy 24-hour reading vlog, so I want to pick up more Neil Gaiman in this video, and the one I've been hearing a lot about is Stardust. That's the one I'm going to be picking up. It looks like we have a young boy who lives on the edge of the border to the fairy world, and he needs to go find a fallen star in order to give the star to this girl that he is in love with. One of you suggested I read something from the Garlic and the Vampire, Garlic and the Witch little series, which is a graphic novel series about a little anxious bulb of garlic, which, yes, I want that. I actually was able to find this from my library, so I have downloaded it onto my phone. I'm going to be reading that graphic novel on my phone as well, which I am really very excited about. I find that graphic novels are exactly what I want to be reading when I need something cozy. They just comfort my brain in so many different ways. Not only do I get amazing writing and story, I also get beautiful visuals that I can take my time with and live in a beautiful artwork world for a moment. This is a very ambitious TBR, and I reserve the right to not read all of them, but I also desperately want to read all of them, so we might be in for a long video. You know, I don't know yet, but you know how long the video is. The last one on here is more of a high fantasy. It's called Age of Myth. It's in this whole sweeping fantasy series. I found this series through Reagan of Peru's Project. The way that she talks about this series made me want to pick it up immediately. It sounds like it's very pastoral. Apparently there's a girl who has a wolf. Those two things right off the bat, I'm hooked, because I think that one's probably going to be the most high stakes out of all of these, so I'm interested to kind of see what my taste is in cozy fantasy, and that's why I've chosen this specific TBR. I've got some graphic novels on here, I've got some romance, some regular high fantasy, so it'll be interesting to see exactly what things I like the most. Okay, that's the TBR. It is a gorgeous, beautiful day out today, so I'm going to be taking Mr. Sullivan on lots of walks. First up, I think, is going to be Stardust by Neil Gaiman. Let's go on a walk.
Chapter 1, in which we learn of the village of Wall and the curious thing that occurs there every 9 years. There was once a young man who wished to gain his heart's desire.
Hello friends, I finished reading Stardust by Neil Gaiman. I don't actually think I ever told you anything about this book while I was reading it. I actually got sick the past couple of days, so I haven't been filming anything, but I have been doing a lot of audiobook reading. I really enjoyed the audiobook of Stardust because it is narrated by Neil Gaiman himself, and I had such a good time hearing it in his voice. And he actually does a interview at the end of the audiobook, which I really enjoyed, talking about the process of where he got the idea for this book and also why he enjoyed narrating it himself. When he recorded this audiobook, it was the longest one he had ever done. He talked about using different voices for things and all the different pieces of recording an audiobook that go into it that he hadn't thought of before he recorded a book this long. It was actually really cool because at the end of this interview, he was talking about his next project, which was writing the Graveyard Book, which is one of my favorite things I've ever read from Neil Gaiman, probably I think my favorite so far. That was really cool to kind of go back in time a little bit and hear from him while he was writing that book. Stardust really is an adult fairy tale. We're following this boy who's trying to go find this star that has fallen to bring it back so that the girl that he loves will marry him. I really loved all the twists and turns that this story took. It felt very fairy tale-like in the way that things by way of fate and destiny happen in a very funny way almost. Things that seem impossible are possible due to a play on words or other fun things like that. There's a unicorn in here, there's a sky ship, there's a great power of a castle. We're actually following quite a few different groups of people. We're following our main character as he tries to find this star. We're also following some lords of strongholds. We're also following some witches. So it's very, very interesting. Everything, of course, all ties together in the end. I had a really fantastic time. It has stakes, but I feel like I know that everything is going to turn out the way that I want it to turn out in the end, even if it wasn't the way that I was expecting it to at the beginning of the book. The weather actually ended up being perfect for when I was reading this. I was reading about characters being caught in a rainstorm while being caught in a rainstorm. It was just all around a really good time. So that was Stardust by Neil Gaiman. On to the next book. Finished Garlic and the Vampire, and that was so freaking cute, so short, so sweet. I have never gotten a graphic novel from the library before, and I just have to say, I really loved this experience. My Kindle is black and white, but I got it on my phone with the Kindle app, and then I was able to look at all the lovely art on my phone, and I actually kind of prefer it on the phone. I'll show you here. Not only can you see the full page, how it would look in the print version, but you can also zoom in and look at each individual panel specifically, and I just really loved that. It helped me to slow down and look at the whole page together artistically as well as each individual panel. I just really enjoyed my experience. We're following an anxious Garlic as they try to investigate the vampire who lives in the castle up the hill. I'm not gonna tell you any more than that because I really enjoyed finding out all the little elements to this and Garlic's backstory and all of Garlic's friends and family, and also the whole situation with the vampire was very fun as well. Such a cozy little story, and because the Garlic is so anxious, there was a lot of humor thrown in as well. I also loved how Garlic's friends were so encouraging and helped them to kind of quell some of this anxiety that they were feeling and talk things through with them. It was just a really cute, cozy time, and I would highly recommend it. I think next I'm going to be starting The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, but I'm not entirely sure, so cue title card so you know what I'm reading next. let's talk about The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. I'm about halfway through and I'm having a really good time. I kind of lied to you at the beginning of this video because I said it was cozy fantasy. Becky Chambers' writing is more cozy sci-fi, and I did get the Monk and the Robot series in, so let me just show you them because they're really pretty. I now own A Psalm for the Wild Built and A Prayer for the Crown Shy, and I couldn't be more excited to have these on my shelves. The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet reminds me a lot of that series and very much feels like the precursor to that series. Becky Chambers is obviously a person who is continuing to grow and change, and this feels like a really natural progression. So I think if you liked this series, you'll like the Monk and the Robot series even better. And if you liked the Monk and the Robot series, this is not going to be quite on that level, but it's still gonna have similar cozy vibes, just might not be as mindset changing as that one. And if that one was a little bit too out there for you, I think this was probably a good place to start. We're following a multi-species crew on board a ship that is punching holes in the fabric of space-time in order for ships to be able to pass more quickly through them in the future. Our main character has a bit of a hidden past. We're not really sure what's going on, why she's left her family. We're slowly starting to uncover clues about that. There are stakes in here, there are things that happen, but at the halfway mark, I would say only a couple of really high stakes, like life-threatening things have happened. Most of it has just been getting to know our characters of the crew, and I've been in this really cozy space that I've been enjoying greatly. I think sci-fi as a genre just really tends to make the gears in my brain turn in a really satisfying way for me. My favorite book of 2022 was How High We Go in the Dark by Sequoia Nagamatsu. I love that book so much, partly because of the conversations it made me have with myself in my head while reading, and I like this book for a similar reason. I'm really enjoying it so far. I'm thinking it could be 4, maybe even 5 stars, so I'm going to get off camera and get reading, and I'll let you know what I think when I finish it. Hi, it's me from the future. I'm sick now, and I just finished The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. It's taken me a while to read this. I don't know what it is about certain books, but I can't physically read them quickly because I don't want them to end, and that was this book for me. I have religiously been reading a couple of pages or a chapter or 2 of this book every night since I started this vlog, and I think it's been a couple of weeks now that I've been filming this video, but I just wanted to spend so much time in this book. Needless to say, I very much enjoyed it. Although this is one of the first books you're seeing me talk about, this is one of the last books I'm reading for this video, and I think it's one of my favorites. Something about the way that Becky Chambers writes just really feels good in my brain. I'm definitely going to be picking up the rest of this series. I desperately want to read more sci-fi, so if you have any more sci-fi recs, even if they're not cozy, I would love to hear them in the comments. Please let me know if you've read this and the Monk and the Robot series, which one was your favorite and why. I'm so curious to see if there is overlap between those two series. From what I've seen, usually one of them hits harder than the other one. For me, I think the Monk and the Robot series is my favorite of the two, but this is just doing a different thing for my brain. This is more like soft sci-fi instead of being cozy sci-fi, because there are stakes happening in here. There is plot, there are life-threatening situations, there is action, but the first half of the book is just you becoming invested in all these characters' lives and getting connected with them and like falling in love with all of these characters. I love the multi-species crew. My favorite part of fantasy is world building, and I really felt that with this book because we have so many different species of characters. Everyone has their own unique culture, and even within species there are obviously different cultures because we as humans are one species and have many different cultures. It was so interesting to learn about all of these different groups of characters and meet their families and see what things are important to them and the cultural differences and the way they're trying to relate to other people who are on the ship. It's so good. If you like found family, please read this book. Please read this series. It is so much a found family, and I'm gonna keep thinking about this book for a long time. Definitely going to continue in this series. You'll hear me say later on in this video, I think, that I'm not going to continue in a series of one of the other books that I read in this video because I've been picking up so many series and starting so many series and I'm feeling a little overwhelmed.
I'm not getting that feeling with this one. I don't care. I just want to keep reading it. There's a couple of things that I'm in the middle of reading that I want to wrap up, and then I'm immediately gonna go pick up the second book in this series because I want more. I want more of these characters. I want more of this space. Okay, I'm gonna stop gushing about this book. Needless to say, I loved it. I'm torn between a 4.75 and a 5, and I think the reason why I'm torn is because I gave the Monk and the Robot series a 5-star, but that is like a new favorite of all time, and this can also be 5 stars, even though I liked it less than the other series. I'm gonna go ahead and say it's 5 stars for now, and I will reassess when I do my wrap up next week. Okay, back to me in the past when I am not sick and sound better than this. Bye. I've been doing a very bad job of updating you, but I have finished another book. So I read Age of Myth, which is I think the longest book on this TBR. This was the most high fantasy type book that I was reading for this video. And about halfway through reading this book, I realized that I've been starting a lot of series lately and it kind of stressed me out. Don't get me wrong, I love reading series, but starting so many of them in one go just has been a bit too much. I did not expect this book to be as funny as it was. It was freaking hilarious. The way that things happened were just very tongue-in-cheek. It's set up like this really high fantasy situation. We have this group of people who are seen as gods. It's thought that they can't be killed, and then one of them is killed. So this death is a really important event that's happening in the grand scheme of everything. It immediately becomes sort of this mythologized event, but the actual way that it happens is really chaotic and really funny and really almost accidental. It adds a lot of humor into it because the book is kind of laughing at itself in a way, because it sets up this lore of this world in a really important and heady way, and then also undermines it at every single moment, showing you how things that are made out to be these really epic things are actually just very ordinary events that just sort of happen. There's no like divine guidance. It's just kind of, oops, I guess I killed someone. And that's really, really funny. Something that I didn't know about this book going in is that the author actually writes the entire series before releasing any of the books. And I have to say, I absolutely loved it. Because at the beginning of the audiobook, he actually talks about why he does this, saying that it helps him to make sure that the ending is going to be satisfying and also make sure that there's the right amount of books and not having to worry about publishing deals when he's sort of framing out the story. I found it made a really purposeful book, and I'm really excited to continue on the series. Like I said, probably not for a while, but I do definitely want to get back to it. I found the whole thing to be very engaging all the way through. I just don't need another high fantasy series on my TBR right now. I'm really glad I read it for this video because it did give me that injection of humor that I was really looking for. It does feel incredibly cozy while also feeling incredibly high stakes. The events that are covered in this book are very important to the world as a whole, but they are, like I said, in that tongue-in-cheek way that makes them seem very ordinary, which was exactly what I was looking for in cozy fantasy. I think as the series continues, it will get less cozy and more gory, graphic, dark, because it does tend to go in that direction. But I do think I am going to continue liking each book in the series. There's the possibility of a new person learning a skill that I am trying not to spoil, but very interested in, and I definitely want to follow that storyline. That's one of my favorite things, is a training montage in a book, so I would be very interested to pick up the next books in the series to follow those specific events that I think are going to occur. And I know the series is going to wrap up in a satisfying way because he's already written all the books. I know that we're going to get to the end of the series. It's going to be, I think, 5 or 6 book series, and I don't know if they're all out yet, but he's written all of them, so they will eventually be coming out. So probably the least cozy thing I will read in this video. So if you're someone who typically reads high fantasy and you're looking for a cozier version of that, I would definitely recommend Age of Myth. I promise I'll be better about checking in with you halfway through things moving forward in the vlog. I apologize. On to the next book. Hello friends, welcome to my bathroom. I need to take my makeup off and I need to tell you about a book. So we're gonna do it at the same time. I just got back from trivia, which was very, very fun. Little Webster came with and he did so well. He was perfect. I'm so proud of him. But you wanna know about the books. So
I actually ran out of audiobooks for this video. I've been just cruising through audiobooks really quickly, and I haven't been reading physically as fast as I would have liked. So I'm adding a book to the TBR. One of you very kindly suggested that I read Small Miracles by Olivia Atwater when I was requesting cozy things, and I found it was available on Scribd, so I downloaded it, and I've been listening to it. I'm a little over halfway through actually now. It's a really short book. I've just been listening to it today, and I think yesterday a little bit as well. And it's really fun. I think it's probably gonna end up being 3 stars. It's like an angel, fallen angel situation, and I always love those types of stories. The premise I am really enjoying because our main character is like the angel or the fallen angel of petty temptations, which is really funny. So the things that she is tempting people to do is like take the last piece of chocolate or leave work 20 minutes early. They're like really small temptations, and I've just been really enjoying the funniness of the book. One of my favorite things I've ever read is Paradise Lost. I loved Good Omens, the TV show. Haven't read the book yet. I like things that play with the angel, devil, fallen angel trope, so I am really enjoying that aspect of it. But so far the story itself it's okay. I am invested. It is really cozy. I'm having a good time. It's these really small temptations, so the stakes aren't super high, and it's really enjoyable. It is a really short book, so I don't want to go too much in depth with it, but I will keep you updated on how the ending works out, because I think that is probably going to determine the majority of my rating, because so far I'm having a good time, but I think the ending is going to determine whether it stays at a 3 or bumps up to a 4. Alright, I'm gonna head to bed. I will probably end up finishing this tomorrow, and then I'll let you know my final thoughts. Hello! I finished Small Miracles. I'm excited to talk to you about it. First of all, I have to show you my comfy cozy fit because I look like a hobbit today. I mean, what's not to love about a cardigan and corduroy pants? I finished Small Miracles. It's 4 stars. The ending made me tear up. I wasn't expecting it, but it really got me. I feel like stories that deal with heaven and hell typically try to get you in the feels, and I've read a lot of those stories. And although I don't think this was a perfect book, I think it was exactly what I needed. The dog is also panting very loudly, so I apologize. We just went on a very long walk and finished the book, and now he's tired. Speaking of walks, it's actually very warm, so I'm gonna take off the cardigan. The one negative thing I have to say about this book is that the audiobook got a little bit annoying because there's a point system in here for sins and acts of virtue. So every time something happens where sin or virtue points are awarded, there's this little sound effect that happens in the audiobook, and it really got on my nerves when it was happening a lot. But as the book goes on, it happens less and less, and so it was less annoying. But at the beginning of the book, there is a lot of interjecting of kind of like world building pieces that are happening. It's very funny, it's very tongue-in-cheek, but it all comes along with this sound effect that kind of pissed me off a little bit. So just a heads up, if things like that tend to annoy you, maybe read this one in print and not an audiobook. Thank you so much for the recommendation. I really enjoyed this. It was a cozy time. The conversation about grief was very nuanced in a way that I greatly appreciated. Ultimately, I love the ending. It's a little cheesy, a little cliche. It was perfect for what I wanted. Highly recommend if you're looking for cozy fantasy. I'm excited to keep reading from Olivia Atwater. I like her books. I'm especially excited to read something that's more romance heavy with Half a Soul, and this one had a little bit of a romance in it that I greatly enjoyed, so I'm interested to see what she does with a book that is more heavily centered on romance, which is what I have heard Half a Soul is. I've once again exhausted all the audiobooks that I have. I could stop reading audiobooks. I could start reading different audiobooks I have in my TBR, but I'm not ready to leave the cozy fantasy world until I finish the other books that I have to read physically, so I will be picking up a T. Kingfisher book in this video. Surprise! I have been reading the Saint of Steel series and really enjoying it, and I haven't read the 3rd and final book. I kind of took a little bit of a break from the series. I read the first 2 back to back and then felt like I was a little bit tapped out of that series, so it's been a couple weeks. I'm excited to go back to it, so I'm gonna pick up Paladin's Hope, which is a male-male romance between one of our Saints of Steel. They're paladins. They are these like divine warrior berserker people. This book, I believe we're following Galen and his love interest, who is a doctor mortician type character. I love T. Kingfisher's romances. They're typically very dark and very funny, so I'm excited to see what's going to be going on in this one, especially because the story arc for the first 2 books has somewhat ended at the end of the second book, so I'm interested to see where she's gonna take this series now. And I haven't read a male-male romance from T. Kingfisher before, so I'm really excited to see what she does with that. Okay, back to the books.
Out of proportion. God, yes. I should probably wrap it, though. Knees swell up if you look at them funny. He dug through the back and pulled out the remains of the shirt that Earstripe had already cut into bandages.
I finished another book without giving you an update. I really apologize. This vlog is all over the place. And it's been a busy couple of days. I had a friend in town for the long weekend and I had so much fun with them. I'm so happy that they came to visit. I still did listen to some of the audiobook while they were here because doggy needs more walks than one human should reasonably take in a day. And I did finish Paladin's Hope. You guys know that I love T. Kingfisher and I just love this series. If you read Sword Heart and you loved Sword Heart and you're looking for more of that, this series is 100% for you. I've now read all 3 books in the Saint of Steel series. All 3 of them are following a different paladin, and I would say that for the most part, they all kind of have the same personality. They do have their own little quirks and interests that make them different people. They do all have that big honorable man who fights things vibe, which is also how Sarkis acts in Sword Heart. So if you're looking for more vibes like Sword Heart, this series is definitely for you. The first 2, Paladin's Grace and Paladin's Strength, follow male-female romances. And in the first book, the female love interest is a perfumer. You get lots of insight into her job as a perfumer. And there's also this kind of storyline arc in the first 2 books about this mystery murderous situation that's going on. Second book follows a nun/lay sister who has a secret. I'm not sure if the secret is spoiled in the synopsis, but I enjoyed finding it out as I went through the book, so I'm not going to spoil it for you. Let's just say that the small woman, big man trope is not a thing in that book. And the one that I read for this video is Paladin's Hope, which is a male-male romance. I really love this one. It was the first male-male romance that I've read from T. Kingfisher, and I did really enjoy it. Our love interest in this one is a doctor. He primarily works with dead people. He helps to figure out what the cause of death is and do autopsies and all that kind of stuff. There's also a really intense, almost Saw-like situation with a death trap that I found highly entertaining. I wasn't really sure where this series was gonna go after the story arc from the first 2 books was over, but I have to say I enjoyed the plot of the 3rd book, I think even more than I did the first 2. All of these books have the same exact vibe, but very different things that are actually happening within the story. I had a fantastic time. It's 5 stars. I love everything that T. Kingfisher writes. And this book made me want to pick up even more of her work because this series and Sword Heart is set in the universe of the Clockwork Boys, which I believe came out before Sword Heart, before the Saint of Steel. In this book, we had a lot of conversation about the events that went on in that series and the war that took place. And the way that it was described was so freaking interesting, and now I desperately want to go pick up that series as well. This video has already been going on for way too long, so I need to wrap it up. On to the next book. Hi friends, I am once again sick, so apologies for this. I spent pretty much the entire day yesterday sleeping. Today I'm feeling mildly better, enough that I want to do some light reading. So I thought we'll pick this video back up. I'll try to finish out the TBR. The only things I have left to read are Half a Soul and the Tea Dragon Festival, which is the 2nd book in the Tea Dragon Society series. But I'm also feeling like I want to reread the first one, so I think we're just gonna go read some graphic novels today, and then if I'm feeling up to it, we can finish up with a little Regency romance moment. It's also a very dreary day outside, perfect for reading. Okay, let's go sit on the couch with some puppies and some tissues and read some cozy things. This is just as cute as I remember it being. I love all the little dragons. I'm really excited to read the next one. The art style in here is just gorgeous, and I love the message and the representation and the little friendship that's in here. I'm really excited to pick up the 2nd volume. I have absolutely no idea if this is going to be following the same characters or if we're going to be following new characters. It says it's a companion story
doesn't say that it's a sequel, so I guess we'll find out if we're following the same characters or not. But first, let's make some tea. Okay, tea acquired. This is elderberry and echinacea, since I'm not feeling good. Echinacea is supposed to kill strep throat, I think it is. I think I just have a common cold, but we'll use tea just in case. Ooh, I like it. Good. Okay, let's read the second book in Tea Dragon Society. I've been waiting so long to read this book for absolutely no reason. But it's coming at the perfect time. I definitely need coziness in my life right now. I hate being sick. It's my least favorite thing in the whole world. Okay, let's go read. I like it even better than the first one. It's really cute. I teared up. I like it. So it's not a sequel, it is a companion book. It's actually a prequel. So we're actually following the characters who introduced our main character in the first book. We're following the people who introduced her to the tea dragons because she found their tea dragon. We're following them earlier in their lives. There was a lot of sign language in here. I really loved the way that it portrayed sign language in a graphic novel. I've never ever seen sign language in a graphic novel before. And I just thought it was really, really well done. The way that it very quickly and easily explained the difference between spoken words and signed words. It was really cool to see people signing in the graphic novel itself. So in here, this character is signing the words. I love how inclusive these are. I love how cozy these are. I love the messages that are in here. This one was a little bit simpler of a message, and I think that was my only, I guess, complaint about this book, is that I wanted more out of it. And so now in the second book, I got that piece that I was looking for. A little bit of a deeper conversation about life and things, a little bit more of a conflict, but still super, super cozy and comforting and warm, and I just want to go buy the rest of these now. The other cool thing about this one is that we're following a big dragon. So there are tea dragons and there are also full-size dragons, and we have a character who is a full-size dragon in here. I like that we're following kids who are trying to figure out what they want to do with their lives, and kind of like what career paths almost they want to go on. That was present in both of these books. And we're also following people who are like more established in what they're doing and getting some wisdom from them, and we're following this dragon in this one too. It's just a really cute friendship story, and I'm having a really good time. I think now I'm going to finish my cup of tea while reading Half a Soul. I'm not sure how fast I'm gonna make it through this, but hopefully the next time you see me, I will not sound like this. Fingers crossed. Really lovely time. It's cozy, it's fun, it's fantasy. I actually really love this quote on here from Alex E. Harrow, so I'm just gonna read that to you. Whimsical but never frivolous, sweet but not sugary. I loved it. That's how I'm feeling so far. I'm really loving the romances that are going on here. Basically, we're following this girl who has half a soul because a fairy tried to take her entire soul, but her cousin like helped to thwart this fairy. And so she's got some subdued emotions. Something that I'm really enjoying is that she does not really care much about propriety and social contracts, so she just calls it like it is. And in a world of like Regency era where everything is very much like manners and everything must be done in the exact way and you must wear this thing and she's just much more real to our modern brains in a way that feels very refreshing. I'm really enjoying this. It's like Bridgerton, but better, and also fairies. So I'm having a fun time. I really don't have much else to say other than that. I'll see you when I finish it. I'm having a good time. I'm excited about the relationships that are going on in here, and I will be picking up the rest of this series. I'm already calling it. You know, something that I've learned is that books like this are things that I can always pick up. Like, I am never going to be in such a reading slump that this is not going to be enjoyable. Things like this and The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet are books that are comfort books for me. Like, I'm really excited to get these series and keep them on my shelves so that when I do need something to pick up and I'm not ready to go into heavier topics, these are books that I can just have a nice time reading. And obviously that's why I'm reading. I'm reading to have a nice time. I don't always need to be learning or changing my mindset about things when I'm reading. Sometimes reading can just be fun. And there are topics discussed in here, like we're talking about the workhouses and all of these social issues, but it's also just a nice, sweet, comforting, cozy time, and that's exactly what I was looking to find. So the video is a success. I've found multiple series that I want to continue on with that are cozy and comforting, that I can just keep on my shelves, that I know I can reach for when I need some comfort. I am so dehydrated. I'm gonna go drink a bunch of water and finish this. I finished Half a Soul last night and I absolutely loved it. I'm definitely going to continue in the series. It's just so cute and wholesome and nice, and it does have stakes towards the end. I kind of feel like the first 3/4 of the book was completely different than the last quarter of it. The first chunk of this is like very slow, very gentle, very cozy, and then there's a lot of action that happens right at the end. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I enjoyed both aspects of the book. I really did enjoy the way that this whole Half a Soul thing wrapped up. You know, anytime I read something that's fairy tale-esque that has a character with a disability, I get a little bit weary, but I really did enjoy the way that this ended and the way that our characters interacted with our main character who does have half a soul and how they treated her. I thought it was all done very well. This was even better than I thought it was going to be. The banter between the two main characters in this relationship was so good. I just really enjoyed it. It's 4 stars. And that means that we're done. I ended up reading 10 different books for this video, which is way more than I thought I was going to read. If you're counting and saying, Katie, you only read 9 books, I may have read an extra book last night. After I read Garlic and the Vampire, I put Garlic and the Witch on hold at my library and it came in last night and I read it and it was very cute. You get both the backstory of how Garlic and her vegetable friends came to be and also a new development in the future in the lives of all of the vegetable people. I thought it was very cute. I think I prefer Garlic and the Vampire to Garlic and the Witch, but they're both very cute and cozy and wholesome and I enjoyed them immensely. This video was such a success. I loved everything that I read. I'm so happy that I did this. Please let me know what cozy fantasy or sci-fi you are reading. I would love to do a part 2 of this. I will definitely be continuing on in both The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet series and also Half a Soul. I do want to keep picking up more of the Tea Dragon Society series as well, and obviously I'm going to keep reading T. Kingfisher's works, and I think probably the next thing that I'll read is that Clockwork Boys series that's set in the same world as Paladin's Hope, which I read in this video. If I was gonna rank everything that I read, these are my rankings. I had a really fantastic time. I hope you are having a cozy start to 2023 as well. I don't have very much else to say. This was like one of the most successful videos I've ever done. I loved everything that I read. I'm really excited to keep reading in this genre. I would love to know any recs that you have for cozy fantasy or cozy sci-fi. I just want to stay in this cozy space. Also, let me know if you're gonna pick up any of the things that I read in this video. I would love to chat about them with you in the comments. If you liked this video, please give it a like, and if you want to stick around for more reading vlogs and cozy fantasy time, please subscribe. I will see you next week for my December and January wrap up. I have like 20 books to talk to you about, so it's gonna be a long one. If you like this video, I think you'll like these. I will see you next Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern. Bye.